he challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn and engagement, being the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We all deal with challenges, but how do you overcome that?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro and Cameron Toth is live on air.
All right, LinkedIn, here we go. I am so excited. Get down in there in the comments. YouTube, I got Yolanda checking in, loyal community member. Yolanda, we're so grateful for you checking in every week. If you are tuning in, Yolanda included, let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm coming to you live and direct, broadcasting from Valhalla, New York. My man Steve Spiro is broadcasting live and direct from Stamford, Connecticut. We want to know where you're tuning in from. Get into the comments and network there. Today is a show all about LinkedIn, so make sure you're not a LinkedIn lurker. Make sure you are LinkedIn engaged. My man Steve Spiro is going to get us started off on the topic today, and then I'll introduce Scott Aaron to the audience here. Steve, let's get us going.
Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, friends? It's Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming in live with Direct here. Listen, here's the thing. Every time I think I have a good handle on LinkedIn, I come across somebody who opens my mind. I see things I didn't know about before, and that's okay, because you know what? We're always learning. We're always growing, right? I heard it said once years ago, you're either a tomato that's ripening or a tomato that's rotting. And we always want to be growing and improving, right? So, hey, did you know that there are 4 layers to LinkedIn? I didn't know that, but we're going to find out about that today. And maybe I didn't know, but I was at least I wasn't consciously aware. Maybe I knew somehow, and I just wasn't aware of what those layers were. So, how would you like to learn how to leverage LinkedIn a lot more effectively? Maybe do more without needing a lot. I know that a lot of people talk about being time tapped and money tapped, right? And how'd you like to leverage LinkedIn more effectively? We're going to cover some of that today. Today, we're going to dive into how to grow your network on LinkedIn to help you create wealth. How's that sound? And organic traffic. So we're pumped, excited. We're honored to have Scott on here with us. So if you're ready to introduce my man, we're going to have Cameron introduce my man, Scott. I want you to type in the comments right now, the man, all right? Hashtag the man. And I'm going to have Cameron, my man, introduce Scott in the way he does that nobody else does. So I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
And Steve comes up with these hashtags every week. Thank you very much, everybody. Get in there. We love your participation. Let me introduce to you and throw him on the screen, Mr. Scott Aaron. Scott Aaron is an internationally acclaimed and award-winning online marketer, 3 times best-selling author, top podcaster, and speaker. Scott Aaron is the go-to specialist when it comes to converting traffic, establishing connections, generating leads, creating sales, and building personal brands, all using LinkedIn. Fully immersing himself in learning LinkedIn and social media strategies, Scott quickly gained traction as a leader in generating big results for other entrepreneurs, online business owners, and business coaches. Scott is passionate about helping fellow entrepreneurs achieve success while building their own network organically and without complicated and costly marketing tactics. His programs have helped thousands experience explosive growth following his proven system and strategies, people-focused and result-driven. Scott's strategic approach to teaching others how to create wealth online and organic traffic is the game changer when it comes to competing in a saturated digital world. Please welcome to the show the man who knows how to grow, Mr. Aaron Scott.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I think, I've had my bio read, I don't even know how many hundreds of times already. And that was probably the best version of my bio being written. I was, who's this guy? I was excited to hear who that guy was. So really appreciate it. Grateful and honored to be here. And looking forward to diving into everything when it comes to LinkedIn and how people can leverage it in very little time per day, per week, and get incredible results, as you mentioned, without costly marketing tactics or spammy ways of using the platform. And looking forward to diving into all that and more.
I love that. All right.
Great stuff.
Steve, it's funny. Give people what they asked for. Let's get into it.
Yeah, everyone always appreciates Cameron's introduction, right? Now I live literally a block and a half from WWE. I don't even know if Cameron knows that. Like it's just literally around the corner from us. Now they're moving their offices, so technically that won't be the case in like maybe.
Let me tell you, I actually with the staffing company, so I don't get a lot of chances in this show to talk about the accolades of TothEvent staffing, but we actually staff the new WWE building and cafeteria. So
it looks like a great
facility. So I'm aware of where they're moving.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Because we're staffing that area already.
But I should give him another job besides staffing, event staffing. We should be that announcer guy. He's just amazing. So we just love. Cameron is amazing. He's multifaceted. So, but anyway,
I tip my hat to you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
But mutual admiration society we have here. But well, let's get into it. And you are known as the LinkedIn expert, right? Maybe it's self-proclaimed. Maybe other people say it. I know you are because we had a great conversation. So tell us. And we have a lot of things to go through today. So we don't want to get in long conversation on this piece of it, but we want you. So if you're ready for this piece of it, we want our audience to type in right now in the comments right now, #TellUs, TELLUS. And so please tell us how you got to be, Scott, a LinkedIn expert and why, because it's all about the why, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not self-proclaimed. I don't believe in self-proclaiming anything. I think we become who we are naturally by the way that you support, encourage, inspire, motivate, and get results for others. So I was basically appointed a LinkedIn expert. People were calling me a LinkedIn guru because of the results that not only I was getting for myself, but the results that I was now then able to help others with. And I don't, anyone that calls themselves a LinkedIn expert, again, I think there's a lot of ego behind that. And, just for people to understand, the word expert has different meaning. To me, an expert means you just know a little bit more than someone else that can be educated to get them to a different place from where they are right now. And that's what I consider myself. I just know a little bit more about other things that people want to know about. So again, I totally get the whole self-proclaimed thing, but that is totally not me. So how I got into LinkedIn was around 10 years ago. I was a traditional brick and mortar business owner. I had 3 fitness clubs in the Philadelphia area. 2 were in the city, and 1 was just outside the Art Museum near the Rocky Steps. And I did that for 18 years, from 1998 to 2016. I was a just traditional business owner. And in 2013, I was feeling a really big pull to start doing something different. Not closing the gyms down. I eventually closed the gym 3 years later. But the bigger thing was, okay, how can I connect with more people? How can I generate more business online? Because I was trading time for dollars. I was running the gym. I was a personal trainer and sports nutritionist. And I was really looking for better ways to create human connection. And for the better part of the last 25 years, I've been a solution-oriented person. So going back to my fitness club days, when people would join one of my gyms, they came to join for a specific reason. They had a problem, there was a hole and a gap in their life, or in this case, their health, and they were coming to me for the solution: how to lose weight, how to gain weight, how to eat better, how to get ready to compete on stage. So I was always a solution-oriented person, and I just literally transfer that into the online space. So for me, I was looking to expand my network, and I looked at some amazing statistics. HubSpot always reports on HubSpot always reports on them. And when I saw that the average income that someone makes on LinkedIn is about $100,000 a year or more. The average age is 35 to 55, making that income. That you're allowed 30,000 connections. It's 277% better for lead generation. All these things started to add up, and my mom still tells me to this day, facts are friendly. So when I started to see all these factual things, I said, well, this is something that I need to sink my toes into. So I had originally started a LinkedIn profile in 2009. And like many people, you started the profile and then left it, and it collected dust ever since. So I dusted it off. It's 4 years later. And when I went on there, it was different. It had changed. Microsoft had just bought them out, so they really shifted it from people recruiting to get a job, or recruiters, this, that, or the other, and turned it more into a social networking platform. It's not like Facebook. It's not Instagram. It's not TikTok. It's for business networking. So when I got on there, I was in the midst of growing an online wellness business. And I went on there, started connecting with people that were, in my opinion, a really good client avatar. I started connecting, started messaging, and I was booking call after call after call. And this is all on the free version of LinkedIn. This is not Premium, Navigator, or Recruiter. I still to this day have never paid to use LinkedIn. My big belief is that if you can squeeze as much juice out of the free version as you can, and there is no need to pay for anything more than that, then why should you? And before someone upgrades to Premium, Navigator, or Recruiter, the question that you need to ask yourself is, have I optimized and utilized every aspect of the free version? Now, when I started to get this kind of traction, my business grew and scaled really, really quickly. And as any entrepreneur does, I reached out to some of my entrepreneurial friends and I said, listen, I don't know if you've, dove into this before. I don't know if you've checked this out before, but you got to get on LinkedIn, and here's what I'm doing, and here's what you should do too. And I basically just kind of told them the odds and ends of what has been working for me as far as connecting and messaging and calls and all that. And one friend in particular got back to me about 2 weeks later, and he texted me, and he said, call me. So I called him and I said, Joe, what's up? And he goes, listen, I don't know what you figured out or how you did it, but whatever you're doing, it really works. He goes, I have 14 appointments booked this week, and I have never, ever had that many calls set up in a given week. He goes, you should be teaching this. And then it was like that light bulb moment. I'm like, okay. I've been coaching my entire life just in the fitness industry, but fitness and business, they're a mirror reflection of each other. The way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And I said, you know what, you're right. I could teach people how to really leverage their business using LinkedIn. And that was where the inkling of like, okay, there's a gap and there's a hole here. There are people that are struggling, getting leads, getting conversions into their business, showing up the right way on the platform in a very genuine, authentic, and organic fashion. And I can teach them how. And I was able to patent my system. And 10 years later, here I am, a number of best-selling books and, teaching people exactly how to do it.
And I need to apologize because I say self-proclaimed, but I know that you are an expert for sure, and that people tell you are an expert. So
no, I totally resonate with that statement because you see it all the time.
And by the way, as a martial arts black belt, I am a 4th degree in karate, and the term master or Renchi, which is my title, is expert. So master connector. Expert, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I love the parallels between physical fitness and business too,
Yeah.
because I think the idea, I was at the barbershop this morning. We were talking about, folks that, that are celebrities and to stay fit. And there's a lot of celebrities that as they get older, they do not stay fit. Now, is it because they lack money? Is it because they lack time? They don't have some of the excuses that we put out there. And so it's one of those really interesting things, like what's your commitment to staying fit? If everything is given to you, will you still stay on it? Will you move to the next step? Right. Or, will you fall off? And I think it's a really good, because we see it, we see the cycles, we see people fall off in business, right? Because they don't keep that motivation and stay with itness. And health, like business, you can be fit today, but that is no guarantee that you will be fit tomorrow, right?
Well, think about what it takes to build the best body that you can. It takes repetition.
Yep.
It takes sticking to a routine, and it takes being consistent.
That's right.
And it's funny. I did a video on LinkedIn about this about a month 2 months ago, my wife and I were down the shore for a little mini vacation, and I was coming out of the gym, and it kind of hit me. I'm like, oh, working out is just like building a business, right? So in business, you have to be consistent, you have to have structure, you have to have a routine, and they mirror each other. So I can absolutely attribute the lessons that I learned in the fitness industry as a brick and mortar business owner, growing and selling multiple 7-figure businesses in the wellness industry, but also being a high level personal trainer, corporate wellness speaker and nutritionist, and how those things mirrored the success that my wife and I are now having in our online company. So they definitely go hand in hand.
That's amazing. Well, to that point, we want to dig into this, and I know people are intrigued by the topic. We threw out that topic, the 4 layers. So if you're ready, amazing community, we want to get into it, right? So type in #layers if you're ready for it. So we all want to know, what are in your perspective, Scott, right? What are the 4 layers of LinkedIn?
So the reason why I call it the 4 layers of LinkedIn is that I see LinkedIn as a layer cake, and even a wedding cake for that matter. So you have the large tier at the bottom, which is the base, and then the tiers get smaller until you get to the top. And if one tier is removed, guess what happens? That cake topples over. Now, the way that I describe LinkedIn is that each one of these layers has to talk to the other. And the first layer is your LinkedIn profile. If your profile is not set up the right way, number one, you're not going to have any visibility whatsoever. Number two, you're not going to appear in searches, which means you're not driving any traffic to it. And number three, you're not having the type of traction that you want, because your LinkedIn profile, for those that don't know this yet or don't realize it, it's a website. It's the homepage to everything that you do, how you do it, why you do it, and who you serve. Now, something else that people may not understand is that there's SEO embedded all throughout our LinkedIn profiles. And for those that don't know what that is, that's search engine optimization. So LinkedIn is a giant search engine. Yes, it's a social media platform, but it's a giant search engine, just like Google, just like Yahoo, and just like Bing. And here's the test. Go onto Google and Google your first and last name and see what pops up. One of the first search results that you will see for your name is your LinkedIn profile. Hopefully. If it's not, that means that it's not optimized the right way. So every aspect of your profile needs to be filled out and optimized with specific keywords, not key phrases. So you see a lot of people in their headline section underneath their profile picture, they have this power statement or this business statement, I help so-and-so achieve XYZ result. That's not searchable. So you have to think about whoever my ideal client is from an industry or professional standpoint. What are they putting into that keyword search bar that's going to enable my profile to show up? And no one's going on there is, how to do XYZ and who can show me this. They're searching for specific things. They're searching for business coach. They're searching for marketing expert. They're searching for podcast host. They're searching for lead generation expert. They're searching for very specific keywords. So you have to think about not how you want to show up. You have to think about how the person on the other side of that computer screen is going to find you. What keywords would that person search that would enable my profile to populate? And that's the first and foremost, that's the biggest thing.
Well, I just want to stop you for a second. So you started by saying, type in your name and hopefully your name shows up on Google. I thought Google was just being kind to me. My name showed up. I think it figured out who I was and said, all right, I'll put him on the top. I'll be, but I guess I'm doing a good enough job because I'm showing up at the top
Yeah, well, Microsoft has a conjunctive deal with Google. They work back and forth to each other. So when you're producing content on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
whether it be videos or newsletter articles, that is also keyword searchable on Google, which you can drive traffic from a regular Google search to your LinkedIn profile. So
Sure.
it's absolutely first and foremost important to make sure that your profile is optimized.
That's great. No, good stuff. I just want to point that out. Okay. keep
Yep.
going.
And then as you obviously go down your profile, making sure that your summary section is filled out the right way. And there's 3 keys to the summary section, or the about me, making sure that it's 300 to 500 words in length. That is optimal. Number 2, it's written in first person.
So why is it optimal that many words? Is it the more words, the better, the more searchability, or what's the reason for that?
It allows you to do a couple different things. So the about me section is basically your business story. So that business story can't be told in 3 sentences. So if you give yourself 300 to 500 words in length, and it could be up to 2,500, and some people, mine is longer than that. It's about 1,500 words. 300 to 500 gives you enough time not only to include some quantified metrics, so achievements that you've had over the year, to show your expertise, to show your skill set, but also to share that journey of what you've done in business. And in my opinion, that can't be done in 2 or 3 sentences. So take your time, and I call it unzipping yourself to your audience. You want someone to get to know you as quickly as possible without ever getting on the phone with you. So when someone can read your About Me section, they're like, man, I really know Steve at this point. I know what I know what he's done. I know where he's been, and I know where he is right now. And that's why 300 to 500 is going to give you that optimal length for your About Me section.
I've had that quite a bit where people come on a call with me and they're like, sorry, I read your about section, and I resonated with this. I talk about being shy and introverted. A lot of people point that out to me. So yeah, I agree that having that filled out. And I also think being a little authentic and being a little personal, and not just keeping it very resume-like, but like very, very much your story-like. Hey, I did. I like to talk. I know Cameron talks about how he was mugged as a kid, and I talk about how I was picked on and bullied. Right, those kinds of things. Right.
100%.
And definitely, if it's totally dry, right? You're just talking about, you're the awesomest. There's just no personality there, and I have no sense of the person who I'm talking with. It might as well just be a couple of lines from your resume.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I talk about my wife, I talk about my son. I shared those things, and because people want to get to know. It's all about building the know, like, and trust. No one buys anything or works with anyone that they don't know, like, and trust. So the more that you can include in that About Me section, the greater of a chance you're going to have to build that, organic rapport and trust. And the last 2 keys to that is, again, I was saying first person only. Make sure that you write it in I, not third person like Kramer from Seinfeld. You need to write it as you. So telling your story, not someone else telling your story. Right. And third and final, a simple call to action. Email me here. You want to give a directive, and the idea is to take people from online to offline. So where can they go find you? So either send them to a website or an email address. Now, the experience section, again, is your business journey. It's not listed like a resume. You want to add a couple sentences for each experience that you have listed. Obviously, the top one being showcased is what you're doing right now. Right. So listing everything. And I don't care how far you want to go back. There's a lot of people that are hesitant about sharing certain things they've done in their business career 10, 12, 15 years ago. Maybe they were bartending. Maybe they were waitressing. That's okay. People love to see the journey that you've been on from where you started to where you are right now. So I have my last gym that I closed nearly 7 years ago still on my LinkedIn profile because I want people to know my background. I want them to get to know me. I would feel it would be a little bit strange if they see that I graduated college in 2002, but my business really started in 2013. So they're like, what did he do for the last 11 years in between there? So yeah. I list all of those things in between, so it creates more of a connectable relationship with the person that you're connecting with, but also that person that's viewing your profile.
Yeah, no, I was speaking with a woman who had an incredible security background in the military, and for whatever reason, she was feeling shy or like, you know, that was so far in the past. I'm like, listen, you had a military background in the industry that you currently work in. How is that possibly not relevant? You know, it's just silly, but people get these preconceived notions of what's correct and what is appropriate based on who knows what, you know, maybe they looked at some other guru's profile or something
Sure.
and thought that, you know, their experience wasn't competent. But don't get into that comparison game. Everybody's different. And I think that's one of the beautiful things and one of the reasons that LinkedIn works so well, because when you go in, you can see people's profile and you can see those differences, those things that make them who they are. Really
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's creating relatability. You know, I can connect with people that are still in the
Correct,
fitness industry because, I mean, I still work out every single day. I just don't, you know, obviously it's not a business anymore. It's more of just
Right.
for me. But I can speak to so many different things within the industry. So again, it's important to include all those things because that is your journey. It's not where you are right now. It's where you came from, and people love hearing that side of what you do. And as you kind of traverse down your profile, listing your education, licenses and certifications, volunteer experience, really sharing the philanthropic side of yourself. And then probably one of the most, I would say, negated sections of LinkedIn, which is your personal recommendations. This is where you get to shine. This is where people speak to your credibility. This is where your testimonials are held. And if anyone goes to my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see nearly 500 written recommendations on my LinkedIn profile from all the people and the companies I've worked with over the last 10 years. And it just shows, okay, I don't have to convince people I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And there's over 500 people that will also say the same exact thing. So you want your credibility to speak so loud that it instantly qualifies certain people to want to talk with you about getting the results that they want. So in the beginning, you may have to start with some colleagues or some confidants or friends or family that you're connected with on LinkedIn. And then as your business grows and scales, ask people to write a recommendation for you. And it happened. I am not afraid to ask someone that I've worked with to write me a recommendation because I am always willing to write one back. I've written hundreds of recommendations for those that have written for me as well because I believe in scratching each other's backs. I'm going to support someone's business the way that they support mine. So again, the first layer is making sure that that profile is optimized from top to bottom and all the keywords are listed on there. And that leads into the second layer, which is the building of your network. And something that I believe in, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time, is that your network is in direct correlation to your net worth. So if you think about what you're earning in business and you are not happy with it, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. You have to take a look at the network that you've curated and created. And is it a viable and profitable network where you can connect, collaborate, and do business with? And the answer is no. Then start doing it the right way. And in my opinion, when you're building your network on LinkedIn, there are two things that you need to think about. Number one, who is my ideal client avatar? So who is the person that is best suited for what I offer? Now, not man, woman, married, not married. I'm talking about professional title or industry. What do they do for a living? Because remember, LinkedIn is all keyword searches. So you have to think about from a keyword standpoint, what do I need to pump into that search engine that's going to allow the types of profiles to come up? So you need to make sure that you're filling your network up with two types of connections. Your ideal clients, those that you best serve, but also power partners. So here's the example. If I was helping personal trainers start and grow an online wellness business, personal trainers would obviously be my ideal client. Those are the people I would search and connect with. My power partner would be gym owners. Why? Gym owners employ personal trainers. So now I can start to leverage the connectability with my power partner for referrals or business being passed back and forth or even introductions. So this goes for outbound connection requests and connection requests coming to you. If those individuals do not fit into one of those two buckets, you just leave the connection request alone. You don't send, you don't accept, you make sure that they have to fit into that ideal client bucket and that power partner bucket. Because again, now your profile is resonating with those new connections because they're going to see similarities between who they are and who you are based on how you've structured your profile.
That's a good question. And by the way, we might have to do a part 2 on this another day because we're like 5 minutes away from the show being over, and you're only on layer 2. So we got to blow through the next 2 layers if we can, without minimizing the importance of them.
Sure.
But I just will say this: a lot of people ask, well, who do you accept requests from everybody? And I'm very specific about who I want to accept or not. It's got to be, certainly not someone who's going to be trying to sell me. That's for sure. And I like what you're saying about making sure you're very strategic about your client avatar or your power partner in terms of who you're going to accept for.
Yeah, I mean, everything is done. Everything is handcrafted on LinkedIn, from the structure of your network to who you're connecting with. And again, the 2 big things that I want to say to people is that the quickest way to get your account deleted off of LinkedIn is A, using a software that connects and messages for you, and B, having someone log into your account like a VA and doing all of this work for you. If you read the user agreement on LinkedIn that every single one of us has accepted when we signed up for LinkedIn, it states in clear bold, we can't use any automated software that connects and messages for us or have someone impersonating us connecting and messaging. So if you're doing one of those 2 things, I highly advise you to stop, because once they delete your account, there is no getting it back, and it's happening every single day. So what I'm teaching you is something that you can do by hand. If you can block out 20 minutes a day, you can leverage LinkedIn the way that I've been for the last 10 years. Now, the 3rd layer is messaging. So as you're building the right types of connections, you're not going to send some 18-paragraph long drunkalog verbal vomit message. That is a one-way ticket to getting blocked and deleted on LinkedIn. I don't respond to any of that. You want to think about, does the message I'm about to send pass the smell test? Meaning, does it stink? Is someone going to respond to it? But here's the other thing. The fact of the matter is, you should never send a message that you yourself wouldn't respond to yourself. So before you hit send, you have to think, okay, would I myself respond to this message? And if the answer is no, don't send it. So I've come up with what I call a magic formula. And it's a 3-step process to crafting a message on LinkedIn. So the first step is stating the person's name in a very relaxed fashion. So it could be, hey, Joe, so great to be connected to you. Not dear Joe, comma space, indent next paragraph. Number 1, that's too stuffy. And number 2, it's mimicking the automated software that people are using. So it's an immediate block and delete. You want to make this handcrafted and very, very genuine. So what you're going to say is, hey, Steve, hey, Joe, hey, Bob, hey, Jen, it's so great to be connected to you. The second part is what I call bridging the gap, creating a connectability part between you and that person. I noticed that you were a business coach and podcaster, as am I. Would love to hear how things are going with you, share more about what I'm up to, and how we can support one another here on LinkedIn. Now, I've bridged the gap. I've stated the relatable connection points between myself and the other person, but also using the second most important word in the English language, and that word is support. There were scientific studies done that proves when someone reads the word support and says it in their head, it triggers their brain to release a chemical called oxytocin. This is our feel-good brain chemical. So it's lowering the wall of resistance and it's raising the level of connection. And the final thing that you do is you finish with a CTA, a call to action. Questions lead to answers, statements lead to nowhere. You have to ASK to GET. You have to ask in order to get. So I would simply finish with, do you have any time this week or next week for a call or a Zoom? So when you make the new connection, you send a nice, genuine message. And then again, you're looking to book about 5 calls a week. That is it. That will return so much into your business you can't even imagine.
I love it. That's great. And I feel good that I'm doing a lot of things you're talking about. So you're validating what we're doing. So
Yep.
Which is great. So we got to get quick into the last layer. Can you give us a little taste? And then listen, it's a teaser which means you got to connect with Scott. You got to go connect with Scott and get the rest of it. So let's hear a little bit and get the appetite, going here.
Yep. And the fourth and final layer is the content that you need to create. And the simple thing is that you just have to create 3 pieces of content a week, 1 on Monday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Friday. And I always suggest doing a video on Monday, whether it's a native pre-recorded video, 2 to 4 minutes, recorded on your phone and uploaded. Wednesday is always a poll question, so it's a great opportunity for you to get some market research. How are you to know what kind of content to create for your network if you don't know what they're struggling with? So use the Wednesday poll question not to find out how people take their coffee or when they put up their Christmas tree or how often they eat McDonald's. Ask them, what are you struggling most with in your business? A, B, C, or D? That way, the most popular answer, when it starts to populate, you can then take that and create a longer piece of content on Friday, either in a long form post up to 3,000 characters or an article newsletter edition that could obviously get sent out to your entire network. So you always have to think about, how can I provide value to my network those 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? And you should always be looking to solve people's problems. You're never looking to sell and pitch or be spammy. You're looking to build the know, like, and trust. So every single piece of content that you create, whether it be a video, that poll question, or that long form post or article, should be solving a problem that your audience is having. So if you can optimize your profile the right way, you can start connecting with the right ideal clients and power partners, and then you can message people from a very genuine and authentic space to get more responses and more calls booked. You'll close more sales, and then you pour love and everything you can into them with that value added content, a video on Monday, poll question for market research on Wednesday, and that long form piece of content on Friday.
So I got a couple questions, then we're going to close. So real quick, number one, videos. I've kind of stopped my Fighter Friday videos. I was doing it for quite a while. I got to about 2 years into the Master Connector tips. And I'm like, you know what? I missed one by mistake. And I'm like, you know what? And nobody asked me about it. So I said, all right, I'm going to kind of maybe hold off for a while. But they originally I was at 4 or 5 minutes. Then everyone was saying, oh, you should probably keep it to a minute because we're like in this sort of, TikTok era where, the attention span is there. What's your feeling on 4 to 5 versus that 1 minute?
2 to 4 minutes is optimal for native LinkedIn video.
And why is that?
Well, number one, it gives you enough time to give what I call the power of 3. Whenever you're doing a video, you should always give 3 tips. It's been proven that people can digest up to 3 different tips. 1 is not enough, 2 is good, 3 is perfection. So when you do a video, if you can give 3 tangible tips, give a minute description for each of how it can be applied to their business, you're good as gold. The second thing, that 2 to 4 minute video can be transcribed through something called Otter.ai, which will transcribe the video into written form. Now you can repurpose that content either into short form posts or long form newsletter articles. So most of the podcasts I do, most of the videos that I do end up becoming long form transcriptions, which become my newsletter editions. So if you're doing a 60-second video, it's not going to give you enough content to repurpose. So 2 to 4 minutes is more than enough to not only bring value to your audience, but repurpose into multiple pieces of content.
Love it. And then the next question, I appreciate that. The next question I'll ask is when to post. You said Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe. What time? That's another one.
Yeah, depending upon your time zone, I always post between 7 and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
I like the morning just because it gets that morning crowd. And depending upon where people are, across the Atlantic or Pacific, they're going to see it in their time zone. And again, you want something to run all day as long as you can.
Sure.
So again, I always tell people, get it out first thing in the morning because it'll land on more eyes that way.
Yeah, I think that's just a logistical piece of social media, right? Once you go into the evening, there's just less audience. It's not that there's no audience. There's just
people
less.
Are winding down. They don't want to be on social media late at night. They want to be
give a
spending
little
time
hack
with their family.
for the audience. And I discovered it randomly. And if you're using Canva to create some content, whether video or written, you could actually, there's a scheduling calendar option in Canva, and you could put it in there for times and days and so forth. So it's some pretty cool stuff. If you're feeling like, hey, this could be tough to remember to put it out there or whatever. And I know there's other apps where content.
My wife and I, we have our own that basically gives you suggested times of
Sure.
when you should post. But just so people know, you can use a scheduler to produce your content. That does not violate the user agreement. That doesn't have to do with content being created. But a poll, an article, or a newsletter has to be done on LinkedIn. But you can pre-schedule video and just written basic posts.
Correct. Yeah, and that's correct. Yeah, I meant to say on the video or written content for sure. Well, this is great. I mean, listen, I have like 16 questions that I never got to, but that's okay. This is great, great broadcast. This is awesome. I think whoever was smart enough to check out the show today got a lot of great value today. That's for sure. So we appreciate you, Scott. Tell the audience how the best way to connect with you, please.
Obviously LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, scottaaron.net. There's actually a free download on there for anyone that wants to optimize their profile. It's a free tool that I give away to people. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile under the recent content, I'm actually doing a Cyber Monday workshop called the 4 Layers of LinkedIn. So I'm going to be doing a 90-minute deep dive workshop on exactly how to set up your profile, searching, connecting, messaging, content creation, completely free. It's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Cyber Monday, which is November 28th. Everyone gets a workbook. It's done through a free Zoom. So, don't forget to, go to my LinkedIn profile, and I'll be sending out obviously some invitations that way. But if you go to my featured content or my recent content, you'll see a way to get interested in the event and then obviously get yourself registered.
That's awesome. Great stuff. We really appreciate having you on here. You brought the light in a different way. You brought the light in terms of how to leverage a platform that Cameron and I are big believers in, and that is LinkedIn. So we appreciate you doing that. So Cameron, I know we have some things we want to talk about. We got incredible sponsors we want to speak about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So big shout out to Wes Loomis and Jordan Mendoza, another LinkedIn expert, somebody who can definitely up your game. So we believe in an abundant world, plenty of people that can help you in these areas that you're trying to grow in. Sales Connector, a great tool also that you can use. And we want to definitely invite you to next week's show. We have our friend Luke Harlan, and we'll be talking about Mindset Freedom, episode 89. So get into that. Make sure that you're networking in the comments. We will see you same bat time, channel next week. And Scott, we are excited to end our show as we always do. We like to count down to crush it. And so we count down with our hands and we throw our fists up and we crush it. So we're going to ask everybody here, go out and have an amazing week, an amazing weekend. We will see you next week. But until that time, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crush it. Have an amazing week, everybody. Scott, you are the man. Thank you so much for breaking down the 4 layers of LinkedIn for us. We will see you hopefully very soon. We got to continue this conversation. We appreciate you very much, everybody. Take care.
He challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn, engagement, being the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We're all dealing with challenges, but how do you overcome that?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro and Cameron